Even I had situations in playing here in Poland, and people were trying to speak to me in English. I was like, when you reply in Polish, the face of the people making is like, whoa.
We live in the same city. And we're on. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Last Week Liquid podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with my most requested guest ever, Adrian, better known as Satl. Adrian is a drum and bass producer and DJ from Poland, with releases across the likes of Integral, The North Quarter, and Symmetry. He is also the man behind the alias Nowheretobefound, which he launched earlier this year in order to explore garage, house, and techno influences. You can catch his latest release, Bedroom Producer with a Dream, out now on all platforms. Adrian, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on it. I know we've spoke about it for a while, and it's good to finally make it happen.
Yeah. I did this. So when I said most requested guest in the intro, that's like the truth, because I do polls sometimes on my Facebook group just to see who people want to see on the show, and you were like just top of the list. And I remember I sent you a screenshot probably 4 or 5 months ago or something saying,
yeah,
you want to come on because people want to see you.
yeah.
But you were just telling me before we record that sometimes you get into like a zone, and then you like to stay in that zone while you're in it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just like when I'm inspired or whatever, feeling some way, I'll just be on one thing, and then eventually, like, I know it's maybe rude sometimes, because sometimes I leave people without reply for a month or two. But yeah, I just like to be in the zone and, just get fully into it. And whenever I do what I wanted to do, then I just like resurface, just catch up with everyone.
Resurface into the world.
Yeah.
That's cool. We have this saying in French that you have to, maybe in English as well, you have to beat the iron while it's hot. Like when something's hot, you just have to like stay at it and like extract everything you can out of it before you move on to something else. Is that like just for like when you're writing music, or is it just other things in your life as well?
I think mainly music. I do like music pretty much every day. It's not always drum and bass, but like for whatever, sometimes I'm doing like a sample pack or whatever. Then I just like to fully get into that stuff, and yeah, just sort of finish it up, because I know like in the past I didn't work with deadlines, and I was often late. And when I've grown a little bit and took the music like fully professionally as my day job, this had to change. So I had to take some steps to make sure everything stays fully professional and on time.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach.
Yeah.
Without deadlines, it's like we often say, like, deadlines is the best motivation. It's like when you see it approaching, you're like, better get to work.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it was really, really messy.
Yeah. When did you? I remember reading about like an interview of you before you went full-time music. When did you do that switch, full-time music?
It was actually I went full on music last year, January, so just before all the lockdowns and everything. So
perfect,
kind of perfect timing, But in a way, it's been sort of challenging financially, but also on the other hand, I found out the other ways to sort of sort of live with it and get creative with all these limitations. Like, you cannot play gigs, but maybe try another way to earn money and live off it, So I think it's not all the bad that like all the lockdowns brought, because like in that aspect, I've definitely found some good stuff going on as well. So everyone can complain, but as long as you try to stay positive and even if everything is really shit, and you try to find something good in it,
Yeah.
then just focus on that, and I think you always take something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something again, like doing the prep for this chat and reading interviews with you. You mentioned that a lot, like being positive and seeing the light in dark moments. And I can read on your sweater, your Stay Positive sweater. It
Oh
feels
yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like it's a like a guiding line for you, like to just try and stay positive.
Yeah, because like in the end, everyone everyone is going through something, and you usually meet people, and obviously not everyone's going to share their story with you. Um, but I think in the end, everyone's trying to look good in someone else's eyes. So in the end, everyone sort of lives by that approach, maybe unconsciously, but
Mm.
they're trying to stay positive outside, even though if not everything is positive inside.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's I think I was talking about this with Faint a few episodes back, and it's one of his mantras as well. And it's like you can choose positivity. Like obviously the world isn't
Hmm.
perfect and there's hard times, but it's also like a personal choice that you make to see things in a positive way as much as possible,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
which is hard to do in practice sometimes.
Definitely,
but
definitely.
yeah, it's something yeah, just we need to try and put into practice like every day, like choosing positivity. But
Yeah.
I was just yeah asking when you went full time, because I was just wondering if that's like if it was something you had like planned in advance, like January 2020, I'm going full time music, or was it just like the moment happened and you were like, okay, and like this is now.
Mm, I've had it planned for a few months because um, I wanted to move out back from Netherlands back to Poland, and yeah, it was just a matter of when my contract was finishing for like my day job in Netherlands, and then yeah, it happened to be in December, so yeah, maybe like mid January, I came back here. And
Yeah.
I just no one knew. I mean, I maybe managed to like fly out for like 2 gigs in February, and then I had to fly for another one. But then the lockdown came in here, so
Mm.
yeah, I've stayed in, and
But
yeah.
was there ever a moment like when you like 5 6 months into the lockdowns, and where maybe you might have thought like, oh, like this was the bad timing, I should go back to a regular job, quote unquote, or was it?
No, no. On this side, maybe it sounds a bit corny, but no, because um, when I was doing like a day job, um, I lived with my girlfriend already for a few years as well, and combining music, time with my girlfriend, some time for myself, and day job, gigs, and everything, I was really struggling with time. And I knew that even though if I would have to struggle a little bit in that time now in the lockdown, I had finally the time for the music that I always wanted to have,
Mm.
and time for my girlfriend, time for myself. So I know that I this was the right thing that I always decided to do, and I thought about going to like looking for something part time, like when it really got bad at some
Yeah.
point. But I'm glad that I didn't do it because yeah, I just found out different ways to yeah, it's the same as you say, choose the positivity,
Yeah.
and yeah, if the one thing goes wrong, you just try and make it work from the other side.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it wasn't ever the idea to go back to work, or maybe it's
Yeah.
wrong timing.
Yeah.
I think it's actually I think it's actually it might be looking as bad timing, but if I think about it this way now, that if I switch to like full time music in times like this, and I've still managed, then I think when
Mm.
everything goes back to normal, it will be also cool. So it was nice lesson as well for myself.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying it at the worst time possible. And
Yeah,
so if you manage to make it work, then it's only like uphill from here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. And especially because like I know you've mentioned you definitely consider yourself like a producer first and a DJ second. And
Hmm.
I guess obviously with lockdowns you had so much more time to actually produce without a day job. If you manage to like still enjoy it and still be productive, it's like a confirmation that yeah, this is what I want to do, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And this was always the case. Whenever I've kind of happened to have like first little like releases or whatever, I always knew that I want this to be my job.
Mm.
And I've only had like a one job after my school, and this happened. So I was lucky enough, and I know that part of this success is my work, but part of it is also people that listen to my stuff and like buy the
Mm.
record or stream the stuff, because you can sometimes make crazy music, but if you don't have people backing you up, then you're still not going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think this is the worst what's going on in the music, because there's so many talented people out there that I love playing out their tunes, and every time I can, I send it to some of my friends that maybe have labels or whatever. Um, but it doesn't always work, and it's like, especially also, like, I think of myself as an outsider, maybe a little bit,
Mm.
in terms of being out there, because there's so many producers, and I think that it maybe comes from not being British, not being in UK when everything is going on.
Yeah.
People go networking and everything, and for me, it's always been go talking to people through internet,
Mm.
and it always comes with some limitations, so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny to hear you say that you feel like an outsider because for me you're like fully like 100% part of the kind of liquid scene that I like to listen to, like from a
Mhm,
outside
mhm.
perspective. But I think we always have like a completely different opinion of ourselves, or perspective on what we do versus how people perceive us. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that.
Yeah, I have the problem of like not appreciating the success in
Mm.
terms of, like, getting maybe the release on the label I always wanted to, or getting a collab with someone I always wanted to. I just, like, it feels maybe the way that I'm happy that it happens, but on the other side I don't show it,
Mm.
and then my brain sort of works the way, like, I don't want to be super happy about it, because there is still so much to do that I want to do, and it's
Yeah,
bad because I'm still doing the stuff that I'm super grateful for, but in the moment I'm not appreciating it, maybe in the way that, okay, like, you did good job, but it's always, oh, you
yeah,
have to do something else, you have to do something else, and it's definitely not what I want to be, and I'm working on it with my therapist as well,
mm.
so trying to make it better.
Yeah. No, sorry, I'm smiling because I'm going through exactly the same process with my therapist about like for me it's more like the podcast and always wanting to do more and like guests I've had on the podcast where if you told me before I started that I would be speaking with them, I would be like, yeah, that's like the ultimate goal. But then when it
Mhm.
happened 6 months later, it didn't feel that special because I was already thinking of next week and the week after and things like that and not taking like a pause to yeah, just enjoy and reflect on what you've already achieved. I think
Yeah,
that's a huge
exactly,
struggle. Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, I don't know when it comes from, but I I think it's just, I think it's also the way the music success works is fully self-described. No one's gonna say, and oh, you are successful and you are not, because you yourself need to sort of see the success of it. because success is different for every one of us, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part to really know when you are successful or when you are not, because like you say, someone would love to be in your position, and this will be everything they wanted to achieve, but you in that position still think maybe it's not enough, even though it is.
Yeah.
So you know, it's always constant. That's a beautiful struggle, you know.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's a great segue into your EP if you want to talk about your EP.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to close off on that, I think like a big aspect of it is that it's so slow in terms of progress, like making music or building a podcast or a project or something. Like it's never like a one night, or very rarely like a one night success. So you're always making like these tiny improvements, which kind of in the end, like you end up not noticing them because it's such like small margins. Whereas if you look back like 2 years ago or 3 years ago where you were, then you can actually see all the like progress you made. So it's yeah. I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff.
Same, constantly.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So you gave me the perfect segue into your EP, Beautiful Struggle. So Bedroom Producer with a Dream. Tell me a bit about the title first. Obviously, it's quite self-explanatory, but how did you come up with maybe the concept, and how did you settle on that title?
We've had, like, every time I'm finishing a project for the NQ, I always have like a brainstorming session with Lensman, and yeah, we just see like, oh, maybe this sounds good, this looks good, and we always, you know, like, he always asks me to come up with some ideas. He will come up with some ideas, and then we'll see which ones we all both prefer. But yeah, the story with this one was basically the stuff what we spoke like a few minutes ago. It's just, you know, being in the position when you start, you have these dreams that you want to achieve, and then you achieve them eventually, but you still have to carry on, you know. And so even though, yeah, when you start, you have these dreams to, oh, I want to be on this label, I want to work with these people, and I think it's constant loop, because every time you achieve these goals, you have to make yourself new ones, and otherwise you will be stuck in one place, not progressing. So even though if it's you're progressing with the music or art or whatever, I think it's important to set the goals. That's why we all are producers with the dreams, because even though if you are mainstream star or whatever, everyone always have this, oh, I wish to work with these people, or I wish to make a track with that guy or whatever. And yeah, this is basically it, sort of reflecting on the full circle project process of starting in one point, going back to working with these people, and now being in the same spot again to, you know, make the new goals.
Yeah. Do you still like kind of, obviously I'm guessing you've have a more equipped studio now, but do you still kind of consider yourself like a bedroom producer in some sense?
I gotta say my setup didn't change much over the years.
Okay.
I still have the same speakers that I've had. I had them for like, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years now. I only got one like synthesizer, which also works as my MIDI keyboard, and that's pretty much it. I don't have any like more hardware or anything else. The only thing is that like I made a switch from being on the laptop just for like a full PC desktop. So that's the main change, but nothing else really changed. Maybe using different plugins that actually now you notice the difference in the sound, how they sound. Are more refined or whatever, but equipment wise it's pretty much all the same constantly. So I think if you can make music on um, the least equipment, then you can make music on everything. You know, you don't need to have crazy studios to be a great producer, in my opinion. Of
Yeah.
course, it always can boost your creativity in some way. I'm in the phase that, you know, like I want to have. That's why I got the synthesizer, because I want to put my hands on something instead of clicking constantly. You know,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 10 years now, so okay, fair enough. I don't want to click my hand constantly on the mouse. So I want to put my hands on something and
Yeah.
try the different approach a little bit.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing like recently on my smaller scale, but trying to move away from sample, working with sample and clicking, and just like grabbing a guitar and just like
Mhm.
writing chords or writing a melody, like just starting from like basics, so to speak, and try to build from there. Because
Mhm. Mhm.
sometimes when you're just looking at your screen, at least for me, when I'm looking at my screen and just clicking stuff, it doesn't always feel like I'm making music in the moment.
Mhm.
Whereas if I'm on the keyboard or a guitar, then it's more, I don't know, that's just me, but
It just feels like you're part of it. You know,
exactly, yeah, yeah,
that's the same. That's the same thing for me. It's like, you know, you click, but then if you eventually play some melody, or record some sounds by yourself, it feels like more personal process as well, I think.
yeah, 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 absolutely. There's something unique that's captured like in that moment, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Were were you like a musician of any kind before getting into production?
No, no,
No.
not at all. I'm still not in the way of playing instruments.
Mm.
I wouldn't say I can play on any instrument really. But I always try to sort of make it work. You know, just maybe grab some chord, then record another one, and then
Mm.
um, program it together in a Fruity Loops. And
Yeah, yeah. So work off yeah, record chords and then use them as samples and work based on
yeah,
those.
yeah, or just like
Yeah.
mess around with some keys or whatever, and then grab some parts out of it eventually.
Yeah.
Like sample my own randomness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Talking about piano, I definitely felt that this latest EP, if I compared to Lucid Dreams, was a lot more piano driven and a lot more loungy, I guess would be the word
Hmm.
I would use. Um, I don't know if you see it the same way or if that was like a conscious intention of you to have it maybe a bit more coherent than Lucid Dreams, which was more varied.
I think the main idea is that Lucid Dream was sort of an experiment that will be happening more often in future. Um, but I want to cross the line of being labeled as liquid producer, as being la- as being able. I want to show people that I'm able to do both liquid and a bit harder stuff. Um, I think it's important to, especially if you want to do it for longer as well, um, not to stay in one sort of box,
Yeah.
because you know I can make every EP with a track that, you know, like can be successful in a way that I know what worked previously. So I could make every EP with track like Everything Anything so much better all my life.
Yeah.
But that's not what you want to do, you know. If
Yeah.
you want to make if you want to make money off music, you might be want to do it because this is what works. But if you are in it for the love, or that you really want to do it, you just always try to find a way to do something new, I think. And
Mm.
yeah, Lucid Dreams was definitely an experiment that I wanted to test in the clubs. So it didn't really give me the feedback I wanted to, because the
Mm.
clubs were closed. But of the feedback of the people and like the comments and everything, I think it did well. And I think some people were still complaining that, like, oh, why this is not fully liquid.
Yeah,
um,
but
but I think in the end, if you sometimes you just need to be a little bit selfish and just release what you want, you know.
yeah.
And i think I think the mindset that I'm in now is like being this little selfish guy, and releasing what I want to do. And then if people like it, that's awesome, super super nice. But then if they don't like it, it's also cool, because I don't want to please everyone, and you cannot please everyone. That's the thing. So if
Yeah.
someone really likes your music, no one's have to like every track. But I have one guy in a Discord, in my Patreon stuff, that he knows my full discography. Sometimes it scares me, bro. It's like he knows the stuff that I don't even remember, and
He's like a stalker.
well, not a stalker, but in a good way, It's very humbling. But it's also crazy in these moments to see how much impact your music can have on someone's life, and this is super sick. So, and I realize it's not gonna happen on everyone, but I want to make music that makes me feel good, and if it makes other people feel good, then I'm happy.
That's a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you're the one like spending 10 hours a day on your computer, so if, like you have to enjoy it first, otherwise
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like what you said with, with lucid dreams. That was kind of an experiment of like different trying different things, because Portal is the first track, if I remember correctly. And that definitely felt like, okay, we're off for another liquid track, and then you get the heavy, huge synth stab that comes in, like kind of foghorn, but not really foghorn, but like the same vibe. And that kind of like throws you back, like, okay, wow, like this is new. I love those kind of tracks that kind of get you by surprise.
Yeah, I think it's all about like making something unexpected, instead of just letting it roll on its own the way it was.
Yeah. You didn't want to, because that's maybe one, like, maybe not criticism, but like one aspect I was kind of missing on your latest EP was like maybe one track that was a bit darker, a bit more unexpected, where I was like, holy shit, what's this?
I think that, like, sometimes I like to make EPs that are sort of varied, but I think with this, like, bedroom producers with a dream, I really wanted it to be one piece together. So that's why maybe there's not enough of that variety musically, but I still think I really wanted to work with these people that are on it for years, and I just wanted to be like very sort of personal project for me, and then it just felt like a statement for myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. It feels very introspective as well, just because I don't know, when I hear piano, it always feels introspective in some way. But that EP especially feels very like, I don't know, just you on your piano playing, basically.
Thank you. But it's not me playing. It's not me playing on all of them. So So it's the guy that I work with.
Yeah, I actually read that. I wanted to ask you about it. Leon Crony, I think his name is. Who, I don't know if that's still the same guy, but so tell me a bit about that collaboration, because I read that in an interview. I thought it was fascinating.
Basically, I think it was 2019. I was scrolling through Instagram, and then I just got a DM, and it was Leon sending me his piano cover of All My Life, which just came out on North Quarter at that time. And I was like, oh yeah, this is super sick, and like I've sent it to like all my friends, and they're like, holy shit, this guy's so talented. And I thought like, yo, like, do you want to work together? Like, and then he was, yeah, sure, let's see what can happen, like what I have in mind. So I've explained him everything, and I didn't want him to, like, every time I work with him, I don't want him to sound like something, or sound like, oh, I love this hook, maybe try to make something similar. But I think the beauty in all these things is that he's just making what he wants, and
Mm.
then eventually I make something out of it or not. So it's just like him jamming around, and
Mm.
then me sort of reprogramming the chords or maybe mixing the jams together or
Yeah.
the way. But he's very very talented, and I'm really happy that this link sort of happened because I'm working now with quite often with him. Like I say, especially on piano tracks, not on all piano tracks, but it's great to have this sort of more natural element in
Yeah.
the music, which is not sounding like computer music constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm guessing he's just sending you like wave files, so you can't really like reprogram notes to hit exactly certain times. It's like there's going to be imperfections in the recording.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes these imperfections are what the track is needing. So
Mm.
I think that's the beauty of it. That sometimes it works exciting, sometimes it's not, but you just have to make it work somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. We're all using Splice here, and you have your own pianist sending you samples.
um, there's a lot of people working with some people like that. So I think it's just matter. Maybe you know some of your friends that
Mm.
play piano, and not necessarily drum and bass even, but
Yeah.
just see maybe some of your friends are
Yeah.
playing piano. Just ask them maybe if they'll be down for something like that, and
Yeah.
then you might have similar deal.
Yeah, because like like just to get a bit like geeky. So like, does he record everything at like 170 ish BPM, or
No,
is it just random stuff?
just
Complete.
random stuff. Random
Okay. Well.
stuff.
Okay.
So sometimes I will be using the jams for drum and bass, but sometimes not. Sometimes for my nowhere to be found stuff.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Cool. Which I do want to talk about just later because I love the EP you put out. I thought it was like really good. And sometimes I wonder if you should be including some of those tracks in your Satl work to just to give them like more exposure. But just to finish on the bedroom producer with a dream,
Hmm.
so there was a few quite notable collabs. The one with Track is my favorite. Was there like one collab that you were really like had in mind like as a goal for a long time? It was kind of a like an achievement for you.
I think it was a DRS one. Um, we've we've bumped into each other on many gigs in past years, past 2 or 3 years, and we always spoke about, oh, let's make it, like, make something happen. And one time he was busy, then I was busy. Then we didn't have the right track for a while, and then when we were finishing this EP off together with Lensman, um, I spoke about it like, yo, maybe we can try and get the rest on one of these. If this will be like a full highlight for me for that EP. And then he worked his magic, and he made it happen, which is super super nice.
Yeah.
I've actually got a track with Dawl for Nowhere to be Found as well now, so
Oh wow.
it's kind of interesting how it all worked together.
Uh, you got to be really curious. What kind of track is that? Can you say anything?
Garage.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Has he ever done like more? I'm not super familiar with all of his work. Has he done more like garage and slower tempo stuff as well?
I have no idea,
Mm.
honestly. I didn't really dig deep into his like older stuff as
Mm.
well. I know that he's been in hip hop for years,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't know about like any projects like that.
Okay, cool. Uh, yeah, I can just imagine like a slower tempo with his voice, how that can really work well.
Yeah, yeah. You have to
Yeah.
wait a little bit for that one, but I think it will be worth it. I think it will be worth
Yeah.
it.
No, awesome stuff. And that's perfect transition into Nowhere to be Found. I wanted to talk a bit about that as well. So that's your new alias that you launched early 20 earlier this year, basically.
Mhm.
Um, Tell me a bit about your thought process, how you decided really to launch another alias. How did you, come to that decision?
Um, it's been on my mind for years, because when I started making music, I was sort of doing house, techno, or whatever, but it was just for myself. And later on, when I got a little bit better at producing and with all the like drum and bass stuff going on, I thought that I wanted something else also to express myself in different tempos or like genres at all. Um, and yeah, I wasn't able to do it because of that um, time struggle I've been speaking to you earlier. With
Yeah.
like I didn't really had any time to do it, so it's been always on my mind. And yeah, when the switch happened, I thought, yeah, why not to give it a go. Um, and yeah, I've had a vision for it to be um, to not really put my face on it,
Mm.
but just make like a character,
Mm.
like a cartoon character. I'm working with the great illustrator Matti Knappmann, and he's doing all the visuals for it, all the animations, and I just make music. And yeah, it's basically it. I think it's nicer to it lets people focus on the music exactly instead of
Yeah.
my face, in there.
It might distract him.
Yeah, yeah, but I honestly think like sometimes it can be really like doing stuff I do as Satl with releases and all the social media works different way that I do the stuff for Nowhere to be
Mm.
found, which is cool because, like I said, I don't need to really be out there. I don't want to be out there. I just want it to be. This is music that I have, and this is all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like yeah. I can imagine how like starting from as a hobby and then becoming your full-time job, there's a lot of stuff you need to do around Satl on top of
Hmm.
the music. And so it can be nice to have that side project where it's like really like a hobby again almost, and you don't have to do all that stuff, and it's like just
Yeah,
the music basically.
exactly. That's
Mm.
the main idea behind it.
Yeah, no, I love that. How did you have any hesitations of like uh just including maybe some of those tracks in because we're seeing that more and more often now on drum and bass EPs, like maybe a 140 track or stuff like that. Did that ever cross your mind to just integrate that stuff into Satl, or it had to be separate?
Mm, it did come to mind, but then I thought we did put the dubstep track and like a housey track on my first NQ EP. But I think I don't want to do it more in the future,
Okay.
because maybe it's just me, but I think a lot of drum and bass people are very into drum and bass and nothing else. And I think it's a shame if I'm putting, let's say, a house track on drum and bass EP,
Mm.
and I'm putting the same amount of work. I love it as much as the other tunes, and then it doesn't get the same love as the other tracks. It just gets
Mm.
overlooked because it's not drum and bass, and some
Mm.
people listen only drum and bass. So I
Yeah.
think I'd rather have it separated and yeah, just work this way.
Yeah. Because I know Lensman is very like open in terms of genres on the Nordcore. It doesn't have to be like
Hmm.
drum based on every track. So if you
Yeah,
wanted to, like the possibility would be there, I imagine.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Lens is always like giving me open hand,
Mm.
and if he likes it, it doesn't matter if it's, I don't know, fucking just pianos without any beat or whatever, or hip hop or house. If he would like it, he would release it. But I think it's just me that I want to keep it separate because,
Yeah.
like I said, I think sometimes these tracks get overlooked, while it could be. the main track of the release, for example, on Nowhere to Be Found EP, and
Yeah.
it would get the love it deserves, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you have like goals for Nowhere to Be Found? Like milestones, things you want to achieve with it? Or is it really like a side project where you just put out music and you don't really think about it after that?
I think I want to get it to the level where I could play gigs as well with it.
Mm.
Um, but I don't have like any other goals for it now. I have many like different aliases as well, different ones that are maybe more anonymous, or I don't share with everyone what the alias is,
Okay.
even with drum and bass. Or so this is just purely like you said with Satl. Now I have some obligations that come with it being full-time job.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes you just miss this element of just making music and putting it out, and even if people don't know it's you.
Yeah.
So I think this is like a funny thing to for me to do, like a side project.
Yeah. So you just said you have other drum and bass projects where people don't know it's you?
Yeah,
Right.
but don't worry, I'm not Dawl. I know what you want to
I was
get
gonna
in.
ask you. I was gonna ask you. That would have been amazing. But
yeah.
I wouldn't expect you to confirm or deny if it was you. But are you done one? Sorry. Yeah, no, that's cool. Something else I wanted to ask you. I don't know if it's still the case, but I read somewhere that you write like 30 to 40 sketches per day.
Well, not per day, but per week maybe.
Oh, per week. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have weeks that I will maybe do that, maybe sometimes less, but it's if I
Okay.
look at the year perspective, it might be roughly 30, 20 sketches a week. But it's not full tracks, I'm just saying
Yeah.
sketches, maybe like a one drop ideas that eventually will develop into
Okay. Yeah.
food. But then also, if you look at it from a perspective of like, doing this much music, whether it's drum and bass or not, and maybe releasing 2 EPs as Satl a year, which are maybe 6, 7 tracks each. You don't want to over flood the market with releasing constantly. That's why I think all these different aliases, different projects comes in handy for me, because I still think that it's the music that I want people to hear,
Yeah.
even though necessarily linking it with my name. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I read that you said I'm just gonna read a quote here. It's a lot of people used to tell me to release lots and lots, but artificial intelligence and also Lensman have been really influential, saying don't release everything. I produce a lot, but I only release the best of what I'm doing. I thought that was like an amazing way to look at it. Like produce, as you said, like maybe 20 sketches a day, but that ends up being 2 EPs a year, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. When did that like switch happen? So you mentioned Lensman. Like, did they like sit down with you and say like release less? Like, how did that evolution happen?
I think when I started to work with the bigger and bigger labels, I realized that you cannot release so much, because if you release so much, people are not waiting as hyped or as anticipating any other release, because they know they will be getting it every 2 months or something. So I think also to give myself sort of more time also to live with the tracks, like see how they maybe sound in the club for a few months, and then basically I wanted to grow, and being able to work closely and like being friends with AI and Lens, and just get the friendly advice on one thing or another. It's definitely helpful. Maybe it wasn't something I've looked into at that time, but if you look at the perspective of the future of years to come, you want people to be waiting eager to hear your new stuff and not just being like, oh yeah, it's another Satl EP.
Yeah.
So
I th-
I think that's the main
yeah.
thing.
I think the worst thing as a not the worst thing, like one of the bad things as a fan is playing catch up with somebody's releases of like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, he released this EP, I haven't had time to listen to it, and it's like 2-3 weeks, and then there's another EP that drops. Like
Yeah,
sometimes like there's artists I love that release a lot, and it's like sometimes I just don't listen to EPs because there's another EP of them that came out, and so I listen to that one, and then time moves on and music comes out, and then you've missed an EP.
exactly. That's the thing I didn't want to happen, and maybe I didn't look at it. Yeah, because I wasn't experienced enough to
Yeah,
to see it as something to change.
yeah,
But I'm super grateful for their advice always.
yeah. I think also to play like devil's advocate, it's different. Maybe if you're like yourself on the North Quarter, you can maybe afford to release less. Whereas if you're, I don't know if you agree with this, but if you're an up and coming producer, maybe you need to like just release a lot of music more just to get people's attention. And then slowly you can start releasing less.
Yeah. I think that was the case, with myself as well. It's like, yeah, you're doing a lot because you want to get out there so badly. So you
Yeah.
try different things. But yeah, then eventually the time comes that, yeah, you just have to switch it up.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you've grown a bit, and yeah, you want to make people wait for your stuff
Yeah.
instead of flooding
Yeah.
with the tunes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's another topic you mentioned a bit earlier that I wanted to touch on with you. Because of the pandemic and gigs being cancelled, we've seen a lot of Patreons appear.
Hmm.
So I was a bit curious because you have quite a thriving Patreon community. So you have more than like 150 people on there or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh, Tell me a bit how you came to like launch the Patreon, what you provide, and maybe any advice for people that are thinking of launching a Patreon.
I think, yeah, I didn't know the website before like pandemic, but then when it all came in, I started to looking, like I mentioned, looking into ways that how you can make it work when you cannot make it work with your usual stuff like gigs. So um, yeah, I thought out like why not to give it a go, even if it's just something simple in the beginning, and then if it grows, then I'll think about it. So I did maybe I think in the beginning it was just 2 tiers, which was which still to this day is one tier is definitely like focused more on the producers. I have tiers that is just like giving you the monthly exclusive track that is not out anywhere else, or maybe won't be ever out. Some stuff from archives. I got this tier as well for the live streams. What I'm
Hmm.
doing, which is every 2 weeks. Um, I got the tier when also I give sample pack. I got a tier when if you are a producer, I got there's an option for feedback on your tracks every month as well. So I try to always communicate with people that are subscribed in there as well, what they would like to see, and
Hmm.
yeah, just see myself if I can deliver that, because I didn't want it to be just a dead place where once in a month I drop everything in there and
Yeah.
that's it. I just see, because I'm not super active, like on social medias in terms of like speaking with people or um, engaging with in the discussions or whatever. So I wanted Patreon to be sort of like a place where I'm hanging out with people, and I think I hope it is that place,
Mm.
because I've often get some nice messages from people subscribing like, oh, it's so cool. You like take time to hang out with us, like talk about it, tell us something about like behind the stage and stuff.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be sort of like maybe look at it from the perspective of being like a maybe exclusive social media in a
Yeah.
way, which also benefits people that subscribe there,
Yeah.
which also benefits me then because then they help me uh, financially in that way.
Mm.
And yeah, I think if you are wondering if you want to start it, just do it and see what you can offer at first, what you are capable of, what are your good things at, um, and then eventually as it grows, I think the most important is just to hear what people got to say in
Yeah.
there, because eventually, yeah, someone will be looking into this, someone will be wanting this, and like we said before, you cannot please everyone, but you can try find the sort of middle point that will be good enough for you and good enough for others.
Mm.
And I'm super grateful that I've managed to grow it into this point, because I've discovered so many great producers even, and um, now that the gigs slowly come back, it's nice also to meet some of these people on the parties. Like someone's coming to you and like, "Yo, I love your Patreon. I'm on there subscribing for a year or something." It's always
Yeah.
cool to see that these people are really really loving your stuff, and it's super humbling that they are loving your stuff so much that
Mm.
they want to support you, they want to see what you're up to, they want
Yeah.
to, yeah, just get in touch with you and see how you're doing even, so
Yeah.
it's very 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 nice place, and also kept me sort of sane in terms of like having uh, the conversation aspect, because normally when you go to a gig you talk with people there, like someone come up to you after set or before set,
Yeah.
and yes, for all the time we didn't have this because of the
Mm.
lockdowns, and it was nice to have the little place where people, yeah, that will probably come up to you and talk in person.
Yeah.
um, you can just like hang out together, and yeah, always try to do some uh, when we have the live streams. I always wait for the suggestions, what they want to see.
Mm.
So it's not that like, okay, I'm doing live stream and this month live streams will be only about the stuff that I want to do,
Yeah.
and fuck whatever you think. If you like it, then not.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to be that guy. So I rather have, I don't know, 100 people in there or 150 or whatever instead of 1,000, but have these people that are really enjoying what you're doing and are super dedicated
Yeah.
and yeah, basically are your really loyal fans in that
Yeah.
aspect if you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing hearing you talk about it. It's really like just creating connections with people. That's what it's all about. It's obviously a monetization aspect, but it's a lot more than just that.
Yeah, I think that's what I mentioned earlier. It's, I don't want it to be straight up financial uh, aspect, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's nice that it grew into place where some people in there are collaborating with themselves as well. They sort of give each other feedback as well. So even if I'm not hanging out in there, they sort of created their own community.
Yeah.
When I've been doing live streams and then I was busy at some point, they've had an idea to do like a community night. So they were streaming like,
Mm.
there are people from
Okay.
everywhere in the world. So they've been streaming like everyone 30-minute sets if you wanted to.
Ah,
And
that's sick.
everyone were hanging out in there, and it's cool that it kind of, it is sort of like its own ecosystem now that it's living
Yeah.
on its own.
It's like bigger than you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because we often think of like Patreon as this like one to many relationship, like a lot of people that are just have a line towards you in terms of like supporting you, but there's
Hmm.
actually like a ton of, sorry, I'm making a lot of gestures for people listening on Spotify. It won't make any sense, but like a lot of like connections with people amongst themselves as well, and it
Yeah,
creates this whole
exactly.
like, yeah, I love that, man. That's really cool.
I think it's just like, also in a way, I want to help them get their music out as well. If I like it, I don't mind playing someone's super unknown tunes in my mixes or whatever if I really like it, or pass it to someone
Mm,
that I think is worth. Like I've thrown, I think, some tracks from some of the people in my recent Outlook mix, and for
mm,
me it's what I will do easily. If I like the tune, I will play it. Doesn't matter if you
yeah,
are
yeah.
known or not. But for some of these guys, it might be like a highlight as well, like one of these
It can be life
big
changing.
steps.
Mm,
Exactly. And I don't want to be the guy that you know um, don't want to give something back, because I think you need to give something back if you are in the position that you can
mm,
do it.
yeah.
And this is the thing that we state, that sometimes people can make great music, but they
Mm,
just don't get through because they don't know how, or they don't have any opportunity. So
yeah.
I don't want to say that I create opportunities or whatever in that sense, but yeah, even if it's small thing like playing someone's music, um, you know,
Yeah.
more people can hear about them, and
Yeah. And even
can, like you
just,
said, can be changing.
yeah. And even just like creating those connections, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that met in on your Patreon community or Discord, wherever it is. They've met people that they would have never met maybe otherwise. And they've created like a ton of like new connections that way as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They collaborate with each other. Like I
Yeah.
think I've had some guys, like if I really think someone have really really good stuff, and I'm not saying this like this is every time you join my Patreon this will happen, but if I think someone is doing really really good stuff, I will send, because if they send me music for feedback monthly, um, if I think it's really really good, I will just pass it to, I don't know, Integral or whatever.
Mm.
And yeah, I think got um, someone over there got already Integral release lined up, which is awesome.
Yeah. That's pretty
And
cool.
it's something that I share a lot of music with my friends as well, even if it's known or not.
Mm.
And it's, for me it's just one email that
Yeah. Yeah.
happened to be, and yeah, it's great to see how these people can now develop as producers as well.
Yeah.
um, I think it's very very cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sick. Do you have your eyes on a eventually your own label? Is that something you think about
um,
sometimes? Because I know like
I've
Edlin and like other people, that's often how it happens. Like they're doing feedback sessions, whatever, and then there's so much good music. They're like, I'll start a label so I can showcase all this great music.
I think eventually that's the definitely on the cards. And I think that's why also it's important to me to always stay fresh on the music, whether it's known
Mm.
or unknown. But I think if it would happen, I would maybe try and sort of, I know it's maybe a big deal, but I will try to set up two labels, one that will be just for my own stuff and one for the
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Straight away two labels because one is too easy.
Yeah, I'm not setting up one, I'm setting up two. No, it's definitely long-term
Yeah,
vision
yeah,
concept, but
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see if this will even happen. For now, I'm in a good place
yeah,
with North Korea, and we will definitely work more over the next coming years. We got some exciting projects, and
yeah,
for now, this is my main focus, at least as Sato.
yeah. Yeah, no, but I think even like it's always important to have these like long term, like even if it's like a dream, like super long term, but always have these things like in the horizon just to kind of think about and keep you motivated and think about other stuff. Even though it's
Hmm.
maybe in the long term, it's always good to have them.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm gonna slowly wrap this up. Really enjoyed this chat, man. Thanks a lot for making the time. Before we shut off, I just want to ask you a few listener questions. So I just dropped a message on Instagram before we went online. So just a few questions from the community. So first one I thought was a great question
Hmm.
from Morgan McGrath 97. How has moving back to Poland changed your life in terms of drum and bass?
I think I don't think it really changed anything, honestly, because also in Poland I always felt like an outsider because the sort of I moved out of Poland when I wasn't really that popular yet, so a lot of people didn't know me, and so then when I got sort of more following, being abroad, and now coming back, a lot of people still didn't know I'm Polish. Even I had
Mm.
situations in playing here in Poland, and people were trying to speak to me in English. I was like, when you reply in Polish, the face of the people make it is like, whoa.
We live in the same city.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I never really also pushed to be in the spotlight, you know. So
Mm,
um, I don't think it really affected me in any way,
okay,
honestly.
okay. Actually, just linked to what you were talking about like more unknown producers on your Discord and stuff. TZ asks, "What's your favorite up and comer at the moment, or several if you have several?"
Um, my favorite up and comer for few years now is I cannot say one.
Mm,
It's definitely not possible to say one, but one of my favorite ones is Giovanno. For a few years already, I've been playing his stuff for a few years.
okay.
Um, the other one is Tatora. I really like his stuff. We got some music together as well. I think
Hmm.
out on his next EP. Um, and then I really like some of my patrons stuff, which which is I need to look up the names because I don't
Yeah,
always remember them by names when they send them.
there's
But
so
it's
many of them.
definitely there's a guy from Australia which is called Versions. This guy called Perspective, Counterculture, Perspective Shift. Um,
Yeah, I know those guys. I've seen.
um, yeah, Cosmic Sequence,
Yeah.
Hoxie, yeah, TZ.
Ah, that's the same
Um,
guy.
there's way more. There's way more. Which is sometimes for me now difficult to remember them by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
artistic names when they send them on Patreon.
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah,
It's always in the names. But
yeah,
yeah, a lot of these people.
yeah, yeah. Steve Culture asks, upcoming artists he rates. So that's the same question. And how you've built a community on Patreon, which is thriving. So yeah, I guess we talked about that.
Mhm.
Um, Will 99 asks, on the geek side, what's your favorite VST synth?
Mm, I think Omnisphere.
Omnisphere? Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear that one a lot.
Omnisphere. Yeah, Omnisphere and um, Keyscape, definitely. These two.
Mm,
These come from like a one library as well, so
yeah,
but I think they both together can really make the magic
yeah,
happen.
yeah. I've thought about getting Omnisphere for a long time, but I run a really like not super new laptop, and I think it's just going to break my laptop. So I need to get a...
I had that problem in the past as well. I couldn't use it. That's why I switched to PC eventually, because it was more capable of doing.
Yeah, that's probably what I need to do too. Adam Churchill asks, is the tune in Space Age Volume 2 ever going to come out? Needs a release. Not sure which that one is.
Not sure which that one is, but I think there was one track that a lot of people kept asking me, which came out on my first TNQ EP. So a lot of people referred to Self-Reflection. So maybe check that one out.
Okay.
Because I know there was a lot of questions about that.
Okay, might be that one. Cool. And last question, which I think is a great note to finish it on, but talk about community and meeting people. Kai Hummel asks, how can you find music friends as an introvert? So when you're like introverted, how can you meet other people who are also into music online, etc.?
I think it's a good question, but it's a strange process, because I think in real life I'm big introvert, super introvert, but online not necessarily. So I think it happened because as my Satl project were growing, I had to have this social media presence. So I think it sort of grown on me that way. So I think I don't really feel like nervous of like hitting up people online, which in real life, if I had to go and talk to someone, I would be really like anxious. Because I'd rather be in my comfort zone, not speaking with people, which sometimes it's actually a good place to explain. And sometimes if I don't want to speak with someone on the gigs, it's not because I want to be an asshole, but it's just like I don't know what to say, and especially when someone comes into you and says like, oh, I love your music, bro, you're a kid gangster, and all the stuff you're doing so good, and like whatever. I really appreciate it, but I don't know what to say in the back, apart from thanks, and it's very overwhelming in the sense.
I understand, and I feel like it's a common thread sometimes. Musicians like to be introverts. I know I've met a lot on this podcast who a bit like the same way. Like when you compliment them too much, it's like you're not sure how to react. Yeah. But I guess for the person asking the question, like one place I found is like Discord. There's so many Discords that are great to like meet people. Yours, the Thing Breaks podcast, another drum and bass podcast, they have a great Discord. I would suggest like, Discord. Yeah.
I hang out in my Discord, like that's linked to Patreon as well. And I usually talk with people in there, like in terms of like fans. But when it comes to, I don't actually speak to a lot of new people. I just have my own circle with some like NQ friends and AI with a couple others as well, and I don't know. That's why I feel like an outsider, because I don't seek that contact with a lot of people eventually.
Yeah. Well, once you have a good circle, you don't need to constantly meet new people and make that circle bigger. Like once you have
exactly. Just work with what you got now.
Exactly. Yeah. Nah, this has been brilliant. Love this chat, man. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been good fun. It's nice to finally do it, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they will. Before we shut off, maybe let people know where they can reach out to you on social media, Patreon, Discord, the exact links to all of that, and any other projects maybe that you have that you want people to know about.
So you can find me on Facebook is SatlPL. Instagram is Satl Music, I believe. And Patreon is, I think, Satl Music as well, or let me double check. Patreon, it's patreon.com/Satl Music. And that's pretty much it. This is the most that I'm active on. I do have a Twitter, but I hardly ever use it or just repost the stuff for the from the label. And yeah, I have quite a busy September in terms of gigs finally. So I've just made a post on Facebook about it. So if you are interested and maybe come down, you can check the dates and places in there.
Awesome. It was a pleasure, man. All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Likewise.
All the best with your gigs, and looking forward to your next projects.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.